So as we complete Media Day and the Bulls' first few days of training camp as they get underway, we cannot help as Bulls fans but to get excited for the start of the regular season. However, at the same time, as Bulls fans, this was overshadowed by the unfortunate news and updates that we have received regarding Lonzo Ball that he will require surgery on his left knee, his third surgery on that knee. And this became even worse news after we got to hear from Lonzo via Zoom the day after Media Day, in which he stated that he literally cannot run or jump, and that even experiences pain when walking up the stairs. He then went on to say this is something he's never dealt with before, and even the doctors are perplexed as to what is going on, which is never something you want to hear when even the medical staff doesn't know what's going on and can't seem to diagnose the issue. Nothing has been shown on the MRI that would indicate any structural damage to his knee, so they're hoping that this surgery will help them identify the problem by going in there and seeing what's going on. I mean, it's kind of just been the curse of the point guards for the Bulls for over a decade now, between, of course, Derrick Rose. Chris Dunn couldn't stay healthy after the Bulls traded for him. Coby White has had his injury issues in the past. Nothing can go right for the Bulls point guard spot, a position that has been so critical for the Bulls' success, and what made them such a fun and exciting team to watch last season before Lonzo got injured. But anyway, in this video, we're going to be talking about the most recent update regarding Lonzo Ball and how the situation just continues to go from bad to worse, and also recapping day one of the Bulls training camp. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, some of you know I am currently in copyright jail and not able to upload to the channel, which I won't rant about YouTube and that decision here, even though I want to, but the reason I bring that up is because by the time you're watching this, it's possible it's coming to you a little delayed after the news broke, because even though I'm not able to upload, I figured they can't stop me from still making videos and then having them ready to go after I'm finally able to start uploading again. But anyway, I wanted to start with the Lonzo news, because while I think some were optimistic that when we received the news on Lonzo having surgery and that he would be reevaluated 4 to 6 weeks from now, some saw that as a good thing. They saw, hey, finally we received some sort of update as a definitive timeline for which we can expect him to potentially return, and that having surgery was a good thing because the problem will finally be addressed and diagnosed. But now, after hearing Lonzo speak to the media on the first day of training camp, it's pretty clear that the road to recovery and Lonzo getting back on the court is still a long ways away. I will say, I do appreciate Lonzo's candor and being open and honest with the media. Like, he could have easily just been vague and said, yeah, I'm having the surgery and hope to be back out with the team soon. But no, he straight up told the media that what he's going through right now isn't good. And what concerned me the most, aside from him simply not being able to run or jump and that he hasn't really been able to play basketball since January, was the fact that because this is going to be his third surgery on the same knee, that he's not going to rush his rehab, that he's going to take his time in getting back on the court to ensure that his knee is fully right, which I don't blame him at all for wanting to rush his rehab. Like, the guy is 24 years old. He has his whole career ahead of him. You want to make sure that you get this right. But him saying this and also describing his pain, it's pretty clear we're not going to be seeing Lonzo at least until January. And that's probably at the earliest. I honestly would not be shocked if he misses the whole season. This really reminds me of the situation with Derrick Rose after his ACL injury, in which he was finally cleared to play by the doctors, but Rose didn't feel ready to play. He didn't want to rush his recovery in getting back on the court and ultimately opted to not return for the whole 2012-13 season. I feel like we're going to see a similar sentiment from Lonzo, knowing he doesn't want this to be an injury that is going to completely derail his career and take as much time as possible before he returns to the court. But man, all of this is such a blow to the Bulls. Like, things were already looking bleak leading up to the start of training camp, as far as it relates to Lonzo Ball anyway. And now with Lonzo expressing what he's been experiencing, and that this isn't just affecting his basketball play, but his everyday life. Yeah, that's not a good sign. I mean, the way I look at this is, and I know it sounds so incredibly negative, but I just have a hard time seeing Lonzo coming back to being the same player he was before, whenever he does, in fact, come back. Or it at least will take a few months for him to get back into the rhythm of everything and his overall conditioning. The guy has said he hasn't played basketball since that final game where he got injured in January. He can't run, he can't jump. So even if the surgery does in fact go well, the pain starts subsiding, it's going to take him a while to get back to the feel and flow of the game and get back into shape to be able to put in 30 to 35 minutes per game like he was doing last season before he got injured. Like, you have to question whether Lonzo will still be able to maintain his athleticism, his lateral footwork on defense, his speed and moving in transition. Yes, maybe I'm a little scarred after what happened to Rose when we saw him become a completely different player after he finally returned back from his injuries. And yes, this could have little to no impact on Lonzo's game and the future of his career. But to have his third surgery on the same knee and doctors being completely befuddled as to what's going on, yeah, it's not a good sign. I think what confuses me most about the situation, I tweeted about this when the news first broke, But if in fact Lonzo's knee was this bad, to the point where it was affecting his daily life, where he's having trouble walking up the stairs, can't run, can't jump, how is it that after an entire offseason, knowing how critical Lonzo Ball is to this organization, that you decide to wait to have the surgery until training camp? And yes, I know, we don't know all the ins and outs of the situation. Yes, you can't force a player to get surgery. Yes, you never want a player to have another surgery on the same knee. You obviously want to exhaust all other avenues before you get to that point. But come on now. You had to know this was something that was more serious if the guy isn't better after nearly 9 months from the initial surgery. If he's struggling with daily life because of his knee, how is it that you don't take care of this sooner? And look, the fact that doctors are perplexed and can't figure out what's going on is even more of a cause for concern, because what if they go into that surgery and they still don't have a diagnosis, or everything still looks normal like it has in the MRIs? What do you do then? Again, I know I'm being a bit dramatic. I know this is coming off as doom and gloom, but this is a massive blow to the Bulls, because it likely means we won't see Lonzo for a good portion of the season. And there is even a chance, again, like I said before, he misses the whole season. Sam Smith asked him if there was a possibility of missing the season, and Lonzo said he didn't think it would come to that, and that would be the worst case scenario. But when Billy Donovan was asked by the media if he needs to think of Lonzo's absence potentially being season-long, he responded, "I think you have to." Yikes. Like, we already have had this suspicion that the front office and coaching staff weren't letting on to how bad Lonzo's knee injury truly was with how vague they were being when asking for a status update. So when Billy says, "I think you have to prepare that he could potentially miss the whole season," in a way, I think that's him hinting at the fact that based on what he knows, that could very well be a possible scenario. But anyway, enough about the Lonzo Ball situation, as that's already depressing enough as it is. Let's talk about some of the highlights of training camp. Always exciting to see the guys back in action at practice, getting ready for the upcoming season. Can't believe we've got the preseason game starting in just a few days here. And I mean, the good news is, aside from Lonzo Ball, everyone is looking healthy and ready to go. Zach Lavine, when he was asked on media day how his knee was feeling after he had the scope done in the offseason, he said he's feeling fully back to himself, which you'd love to hear, as he's really the future of this franchise after signing him to a 5-year max deal. Alex Caruso, fully back to health after going through his battle with injuries this past season. Dosunmu, have you guys seen photos of this guy and his highlight footage? Dude has put on a lot of muscle, is looking fit and ready to go to start the season, who presumably could be the Bulls starting point guard to start the year. But I'll have a separate video on that topic. And then DeMar DeRozan, year 14, 33 years old. Nothing phases this guy, still looking as good as ever. You know, what I love about DeMar is, aside from his leadership, aside from how great he is as a basketball player, I absolutely love how candid he is with the media, and I love how the guy just simply laughs off all the haters and doubters who think he's either overrated or too old to keep playing at a high level. When asked about that on media day, in reference to publications saying he's the most overrated player of this past decade, last season he was deemed to be the worst signing of the offseason, he just said he finds it laughable at this point and doesn't really use that as the focal point of his motivation for the season. For him, it's like free energy to prove everyone wrong. And I've said this before, when you have trash outlets like Bleacher Report making these kind of claims without any basis for backing it up, I absolutely love it when they do it, because we all know that DeMar feeds off of this kind of negativity and shows out better than you would ever expect as a result of it. One other tidbit that I thought was a little interesting from training camp was actually in regards to Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond did say he still feels like he's a starter in this league, which, okay, maybe on a bad team, but he said he's ready to embrace whatever role he's going to be given this season because he wants to win. And I like hearing this from Drummond, because up until now, Drummond's career, I've kind of always seen him as this guy that doesn't really care about winning, but more so about getting his bag, getting his stats, and not really contributing to winning. And to be honest, that's part of the reason why he's fallen so hard from being an all-star to being more of an afterthought in the league, who's had to take on minimum deal contracts as a journeyman at the age of 28. Like, so many people forget, Drummond is actually still young and technically in his prime, only a year older than Zach Lavine. It's just, you would think he's in his mid-30s because of how much his game has fallen off since being an all-star. So I really do hope we'll see Drummond be this kind of unsung hero for the Bulls, who has been overlooked for the last few seasons, but has this resurgence of a season with the Bulls coming off the bench, who is that glue guy that fills a huge need for them in being an energizer, crashing the boards, and a big that is going to be a pest in the paint against guys like Joel Embiid and Giannis, etc. Might be a bit of wishful thinking, but all I know is it's going to be a much better outcome than what we saw with the Bulls bringing in Tristan Thompson. Goran Dragic was also strong and quick in practice. He also was interviewed on media day. Of course, the infamous Derrick Rose dunk on him from back in the day was brought up, and he mentioned it still haunts him to this day. But anyway, Dragic knows, he's going to have an important role in the squad. With Lonzo Ball being out for the foreseeable future, he's putting in the work, both in playing Eurobasket over the summer and with the extra practices that he's been doing with the team prior to training camp, like we're going to need 36-year-old Dragic to be playing like 29-year-old Dragic until Lonzo is able to come back. Like as good as Ayo is, and I'm sure he's going to be even better in his sophomore season, you need an experienced veteran point guard who knows how to control and manage the flow of offense, who can be that floor general that organizes and structures the other guys on the court. You're going to need that true point guard, especially in clutch moments. And that's what the Bulls signed Goran Dragic to do. Anyway, training camp will continue for the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be hearing from more of the guys over the next few days as practices come along. I'll be keeping you guys posted with the content throughout training camp and the preseason, again, assuming I'm finally out of copyright jail. But hey, if you're hearing this, I'm in the clear. Be sure to subscribe. We're nearly at 30K. The momentum got on hold due to the channel being on pause, but don't worry, I'm still doing the tickets and jersey giveaway to 3 winners. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel. Until then, guys, I will catch you in the next one.